When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master.
You're in tune to Roots FM 96.1 on the FM band. It's now time for Make We Talk Tuesdays with Jeffrey Tavares.
Good morning, welcome to Make We Talk. I am still getting the music in the background, Owen. Good morning, are you hearing me? Welcome to Make We Talk here on Roots and the 6.1 FM. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to the Make We Talk program here on Roots and the 6.1 FM. This morning I'm going to have with us the former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Lloyd B. Smith. I can see Mr. Smith is on.
Yes, are you hearing me?
Loud and clear from Moran Point to Montego Bay Point.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I don't know where I'm getting at two. I'm hearing myself back in the system here, Owen.
It's a feedback.
No. Something is not right here. I am not having a feedback, so I don't know what's going on.
Well, I'm not having one either.
Okay. Yes, Sir Smith. Welcome to the Make We Talk program, sir.
It's my pleasure to be with you today, yes.
Sir Smith, former speaker, Mr. Speaker, tell me something.
Let me clarify that though. I was the deputy speaker, not the speaker.
Well, the deputy speaker.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask this question. The Integrity Commission has a code of ethics.
Yes.
Why is it that parliamentarians refuse to sign it? Do you have any idea, sir? As a former parliamentarian?
I think it has to do with the fact that some parliamentarians are of the view that they are above scrutiny, so to speak, and it's a kind of pushback in the context that the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, and a number of his persons had gone ahead and signed. And in our political culture, there's always this question of political one-upmanship. And I suspect that to some extent, that too could be part of the undercurrent in all of this. But outside of that, politicians generally have always been very hesitant to commit themselves to this type of scrutiny and so on, because, you know, they fear that maybe at some point they may run afoul of those very same tenets that they have been sworn to espouse. I find the current situation a bit puzzling, however, because to begin with, the major opposition or the major negative attacks against the commission are in fact coming from the Jamaica Labour Party, which was the government of the day that saw to the establishment of the Integrity Commission. Because the Integrity Commission is what we say is a creature of Parliament. And so it strikes me rather odd. I would have expected more to come from the opposition PNP side than from the JLP side, seeing that, for example, the Minister of Constitutional and Legal Affairs, Malawi Ford, she was there in Parliament when the Integrity Commission was established, and yet she's one of those that has come out very strongly against it. So it is a bit puzzling. It is not a good picture nationally or internationally, because let us remind ourselves that Jamaica is seen and is perceived to be a very corrupt country. In fact, the last statistics that I looked at show that over $100 billion a year is lost to corruption in this country. The Integrity Commission, on the other hand, costs taxpayers $1 billion per year, you know? And so it seems to me that every effort should be made to preserve this body. The current members of the commission, I don't see any political activists there. I don't see anybody there of questionable integrity. The chairman is a former president of the Court of Appeal and is renowned internationally and nationally as someone of the greatest level of integrity and so on. So it boggles the mind why there has been this tremendous pushback and continuing pushback, so much so that it has now gone on the political platform, which is dangerous. I can understand if the Integrity Commission is you know, wrapped over the knuckles in the House of Parliament, but to take it on the political platform, which I saw happen over the last weekend, is bringing this thing into, you know, the whole cut and thrust of politics. And that doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. It's not good for our democratic way of life.
Mr. Smith, but look at it this way. You have a prime minister who refused to, you know, tell the people of this country how much he worth, but yet he still sits in the House of Parliament. How does that look to the people of this country who, we're talking about a 2030 vision? We're talking about, you know, we go in republic and we draft up a new constitution. When the leader of the nation refused to really put in, does he worth $1 or $2? How does that look to the younger set of Jamaicans that are coming up?
It doesn't look good, and as a result of that situation, there's a tremendous, what I call, trust deficit. Let's face it, from day one, politicians were never trusted, and so you have to walk the chalk line, so to speak. Now that Mr. Holness continues, not it seems, I don't know for whatever reason, all of his necessary documents and what have you have not been turned over to the commission so that they can make a final ruling. But it does not look good. He's the political head of the country, and he's supposed to be the leader, so to speak, of us all. And regardless of which party we support, he was duly elected to serve and was appointed prime minister, not just of Labourites, but of everybody. And so it behooves him to set an example. Leadership by example. I don't know why he has taken this position. It doesn't look good. It raises a lot of ugly questions and speculations, which are not good for his own character and persona.
You know, when you sit back and you look into what is going on in this beloved country of ours, Mr. Smith, do you see Jamaica with the whole crime and violence and that poor 80-year-old baby? Would you say that our political elite have failed the people of this country when it comes down to securing them?
Absolutely. One of the main functions of any government is to ensure the security of its citizens. And in this regard, successive governments since 1962 have continued to fail in that regard. We have had one or two situations where we have seen some sort of dip in the crime statistics, but overall, if we were to look at the overall picture, you know, it is distressing. And what is even more distressing is that we are seeing more heinous crimes being committed, cutting the throat of an 8-year-old, killing a pregnant woman, that sort of thing. You know, we are really becoming so barbaric. And you know, yes, there's an argument by some politicians that, look, government can't deal with domestic violence because that is a person-to-person thing, and so it has to be dealt with you know, with the sociologists and social workers and others. But it is a responsibility of government to set the stage for there to be the necessary level of counseling and interaction at the social level. And we are lacking in that in this country. Not
Yes.
enough attention is being paid to the social capital of this country. A lot is talked about the economic capital, the you know, the financial institutions, the what have you. But what about the social capital, which is the people, how they interact with one another and how they perform in terms of adhering to those principles of good citizenship?
Based on all, are you hearing me? Mr. Smith, you hearing me?
Yes, I am hearing you,
Oh,
clear
okay.
and loud and clear.
Thank you. Based on the whole parliamentarians not signing the code of ethics, and their salary gone to over 200-300%, and Jamaicans are facing economic hardship, Mr. Smith. You're a former parliamentarian. The people who raised me in Westmoreland are former parliamentarians. I have people still in parliament, sitting in parliament, same way, as family members. Your views on the whole salary increase, Mr. Smith, your honest view.
My honest view is, number one, parliamentarians as well as councillors do need an increase. And this has been too long in coming. There's no question about it. When I was a member of parliament, I could not, if I did not have my private business, it would have been extremely difficult for me to survive. The average parliamentarian has to do so many things in his constituency out of his own pocket sometimes. And you go into Kingston for meetings, you have to pay your own hotel bills and the gas and everything. So it is a stretch. However, I think this particular situation that unfolded, number one, it was heartless, it was cruel, it was done in a fashion that smacks of arrogance and unconscionableness, in the sense that the government should have come to the people and sufficiently educate the people as to what is happening, why it is happening, and how it is going to unfold. I, for one, would have preferred an incremental approach to the increase rather than one big whopping sum, because this is coming, you know, interestingly. We are told, for example, that local government elections could not have been held because the government couldn't find the money. Give me a break. You know, and there are several urgent priorities out there that government should address, and they keep saying they don't have the money. So in the same breath, you're going to tell me now that you're going to find these billions of dollars upfront to pay parliamentarians? No, it doesn't make sense at all. Something is wrong. So the bungling is obvious. You will recall, I saw where not Douglas, that's his father,
Daryl.
Bars, in a speech at a JLP meeting over the weekend, admitted during the meeting that his government had bungled in the way in which it had handled the salary matter. So there's no question about it. It was badly handled, and I think it speaks to arrogance and taking the people for granted. There is still a perception among many politicians and persons in areas of authority in this country that the average Jamaican don't have much sense. and we can do anything, just wrap anything around them, and they will take it. There's this talk about everything is a 9-day wonder. I don't think the salary issue is going to be a 9-day wonder at all. It may seem that it may get quiet for a while, but there is the residual effect that will remain for a very long time.
You know, I think majority of Jamaican parliamentarians, and I'm not going to be disrespectful to anyone, Mr. Smith, because I'm not the type of person to be disrespectful to anyone. But majority of them take the Jamaican people for a bunch of idiots. And why I say that, sir, is because you touched on a point a while ago when you said that they take everything for a 9-day thing. Jamaicans, 9 days, forget about it. They're going to forget about it soon.
Yes.
What they forget, that they have a younger set of Jamaicans who are coming up.
Indeed. Very much so.
Who will not sit down. Oh my God, why is this thing going like that?
I don't know. I'm seeing it myself that it can be from my end.
I don't know what's going on, but anyway.
Anyway, we are being heard, I think.
Yes. And what they fail to understand that a lot of Jamaicans have social media. Some may be negative and some may be positive. I have a program on social media by the name of Make We Talk with Jeffrey Tavares on YouTube.
Yes.
And I had a couple of days ago, I had former finance minister, attorney at law Hugh Small explaining to us about the Constitution. And I would love to have you on it one of these days, Mr. Smith. But what parliamentarians fail to understand that the Jamaican people, the younger people who are coming up, are a different kettle of fish. And when I say different kettle of fish, I mean a different type of Jamaicans. And they will not sit back and allow the nonsense going on in this country. How on earth, Mr. Smith, can you have? I was taught growing up by a former politician who helped to raise me, the late former custis of the parish of Westmoreland, Jim Thompson, and my grandfather, Noel Tavares, who look at me and tell me, in any modern democracy, if you do not create jobs, healthcare, education, and there's two more I can't remember, then something is fundamentally wrong with the government of the country. Security.
Absolutely.
So, Mr. Smith, based on all what I just rumble and jumble said a while ago, what do you think should be done to secure the people of this nation? We're having a summit at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to see what we can do to help Haiti. Why can't I have a summit about what they can do to help Jamaica? Because we have to learn to dance before we go abroad.
Indeed, when I saw this summit going on, I chuckled because I said, with all what is happening, we are on the verge of becoming a Haiti, if we're not very careful. And I say this without any hesitation or apology, because as you mentioned, there are two sets of young people out there. We have the ones that have gone to tertiary level education. They are educated, they are smart, they are exposed not only to what's happening in Jamaica, but in the world at large, and they are thinking persons. And then you have another set of youth out there in the ghetto, in the inner city areas. They may not necessarily have the degrees, but they are street smart. And they too have a sense of justice. They have a sense of what ought to be done for them and their families. And what has been happening so far is that we have had a number of what I call releases from the pressure cooker. The first one historically was migration and continues to be so to some extent, because it is migration that has helped this country in many ways, even from the aspect of remittances, right? Yes. When that barrel come in a local town area or country area, the clothes, the food, it eases the pressure, so that the migration side. Then later on, organized crime has taken over a lot of the country because the guys in the ghetto watch what the other guys uptown were doing, learn the business. You see where I'm going?
Yes, sir.
And
Go
what
ahead.
they do now, they employ some of these same tertiary level youth to carry out the more sophisticated aspects of their operation. You following me? So
Yes, sir.
all of this is going on, and so you have the scamming as well, which has brought a lot of money to many youngsters out there, right? So with all of that going on, them such stuff, we can't bother with the politics. Them can't bother with the politician, because remember there was a time when everybody had to turn to the politician. No, the average youth out there doesn't necessarily have to turn to the politician. In fact, the only time he sometimes turn to politician is when election time come and he knows him can make a money by saying, look, if you want me vote, you have to let off. You see where I'm going? And this is the tragedy, and the politicians know that too. So they manipulate the system and fool up the people and get them to vote, and then it's business as usual again. We have to, I think, sir, that it's not going to be solved overnight. But one area you've asked me where we should go, it may sound simplistic, education. We have to use the educational system to educate our people to understand what is government, what is the role of government, what is the function of a member of parliament, etc., etc. Because the average Jamaican out there is ignorant to these things, and they just see the politician as God Almighty. So we have to find a way to educate the people. The next thing is that we have to find a way to empower people. And empowerment doesn't necessarily just mean giving them money. It means giving them the necessary skills and knowledge, survival skills, I call it. Because, it's when I was member of parliament, I got into trouble sometimes, because when I used to move around the constituency, and people come up to me and say, boss, what you do for me today? Let have something now. I said, look, I'm here to teach you to fish, not to give you a fish head. And some of them would walk off and say, so you now say nothing, you now go on with nothing. You understand? So we have to change the political culture. That's where it also has to start. And politicians, when a person is elected to parliament, you know that the job of a politician is one of the few jobs that not come with no necessary qualification. Anybody can become an MP or a councillor, right?
That is unfair, Mr. Smith, because
yes,
the matter is,
this is why, if you were part, look at us say something very quickly. This is why I can't use a certain language on your program, but it hurts me to see when the Prime Minister says that and also the Minister of Finance, that by giving higher salaries, they will be able to attract better persons for Parliament. What sort of rubbish is that? I ask you. That higher salaries attract whom? No. We need to have a greater level of scrutiny of who we're going to put in the house, who we're putting in our parish council, right? Not some of these puppy shows that I see going around the place and not doing anything more than profiling.
As you said, puppy show. we soon take a commercial break at 11:30. That's 12:30 United States in Florida.
Yes.
We're listening and watching from around the world and the Eastern Caribbean. We're speaking to former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives of Jamaica, a man who I know from I was a boy growing up in the grill, but he don't remember me.
Maybe not, but over time, I remember,
Yeah, yes, we're getting young. We're getting young, Sesame.
Yes, indeed, yes.
And we're speaking about Jamaica and a broader, aspect of everything. Mr. Smith, you have been a part of a political organization, what I say, for many years. You were in the administration of the former Prime Minister and the only female Prime Minister of Jamaica, Portia Lucretia Simpson Miller. Would you say that you all have done or could have done enough to educate our Jamaican people and to secure them better?
No, I don't think enough was done. One of the realities that that administration faced under Portia Simpson Miller was the parlor state in which the economy was. And so there was a lot of preoccupation with that. I remember talking with the then finance minister, Dr. Peter Phillips, on an occasion. And to me, it looked as if he almost had tears in his eyes, because he was saying, Lloyd, you not understand what I go through when I go to meet with the IMF, and how I feel so demeaned and almost disrespected, because, you know, literally going to the IMF with hat in hand and begging and pleading. And so there was that preoccupation. The other thing was, again, that particular administration had a lot of newcomers to Parliament. And again, as I said earlier, not enough was done. I remember making certain suggestions myself, and about 2 meetings were held, and that was the end of it, where the newcomers, right? I tried to persuade them that let us form what is known as a backbenchers association, because, you know, you have the ministers,
right,
and then those of us who are not ministers, we are referred to as backbenchers.
yeah.
And we don't really have much clout, apart from the other occasion when we speak during the sectoral debate, or when if as an individual MP, you may have the courage to do what is called a member's motion, you know. So the Backbenchers Association could have influence, but again, the political hierarchy, they get afraid of that, you know, because they feel that you're coming now to eat away at their power and their authority. And so it was discouraging the worst way, you know. And so I don't think enough was done, quite frankly, and I don't think enough is still being done, even at this point in time, by either successive administration. That's my view.
As a citizen of this great nation of ours, it is now 11:13 Kingston, Jamaica, 12:30 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I think we're gonna take a quick commercial break, Mr. Brown. I think we're gonna take a commercial break. We'll be right back on the Make We Talk.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk.
You're listening to Roots 96.1 FM, owned and operated by the Mustard Seed Communities, giving voice to the voiceless.
New Budget Supplies massive price buster now on. Want to redo that kitchen? Retile that old floor? Stop that leaking roof? Make over the bathroom? It's now or never. White toilet from $14,999. 5-gallon paint from $6,599. Gypsum board $1,749. 50% off UPVC French windows. 10% off kitchen sinks, water tanks, and pumps. 195 Hackleburg Road. Telephone 923-4560. New Budget Supplies. Always the best prices.
When the game gets rough.
Unmute your mic, please.
Sorry. I'm here chatting, and thank you, Miss Isis. Wherever listening from, watching from around the world in the Eastern Caribbean, this is Roots 96.1 FM on Make We Talk. We're speaking to former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives in Jamaica, Mr. Lloyd B. Smith, about what is going on in our beloved nation. Mr. Smith, are you still there with us?
Very much so, I am, sir.
Yes, it's because I've seen this thing going haywire as if they don't want me to talk.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm now seeing you in both of them, and your visage is superimposing mine.
Anyway, we still can hear you. We're gonna make this better the next time we have you on. What is your views on? Are you aware of a lawsuit being pursued by a member of the diaspora, Wilfred Rattigan, against the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Camellia Johnson Smith, about not filing something to the Integrity Commission. What is your views on that? Are you aware of it, sir?
Yes, I am aware of it, and I was particularly intrigued when it occurred because it was coming from the diaspora, and I'm one of those persons who have always felt that the diaspora should be playing a greater role in the scheme of things where Jamaica's governance is concerned, even to the point of being able to vote and so on. There was not enough transparency and accountability in what took place during that election for the office of the I think it's Secretary General, is it?
Yes, sir. Secretary General of the Commonwealth.
Of the Commonwealth body with our Foreign Minister Camellia Johnson Smith. And I think it was most appropriate and timely for Mr. Rattigan to have filed that suit. Unfortunately, I don't know where it has reached now because I see where the Honorable Minister had said that he did not have any locus standi. In essence, mean that he have no legal foot to stand on to question her and to get any findings from how the money was spent and where it came from. This, of course, comes against the backdrop that the office of the Prime Minister had sought to quash the issue by revealing to some extent in a sort of, I would say, vague way, because what I gather is that some of those persons in the private sector who had contributed to her cause did not necessarily want their names, they didn't want their names to be exposed to the general public.
Right.
It's poppycock because this is not private business. He was representing Jamaica, us. So we need to know, I don't know where it has reached now. I would have hoped that Mr. Rattigan would have enjoyed himself with one or two persons in Jamaica in the suit.
But Mr. Smith, sorry to be cutting you off, Sir Smith. But if he's the holder of a Jamaican passport, he's a Jamaican citizen, the gentleman hasn't renounced his Jamaican citizenship. And when the two political parties want to get money to run campaign, they head to the diaspora.
Exactly. That's one of their first ports of call. Undoubtedly so.
So I don't understand when the judge is going to say that the Mr. Rattigan don't have any standard in Jamaica to file a lawsuit against a Jamaican parliamentarian. He is a Jamaican citizen. He hailed from the community of Waterhouse. And when the diaspora when they need the money, they go to the diaspora. It's the same way. The current Minister of National Security, I call him the current Minister of National Security and Injustice. It's the same way. He told our good friend, Dr. Rupert Francis, on a program that he doesn't want the diaspora to come and help the crime problem. Just send the money come.
Yeah, I remember that. Yes.
I remember that, sir?
Yeah. Oh, yes, I did write about it. Interestingly, I do have a weekly column in the Jamaica Observer, and one of my columns at the time dealt with that issue, and I had to chastise Dr. Chang because what he was basically saying is that the diaspora must keep out of the Jamaica's business and affairs and don't meddle. Because what was also happening at the time is that there were elements in the diaspora who wanted to assist with the whole crime fighting aspect of the government in this whole security issue. And they had some wonderful ideas that could have assisted us, both technically and otherwise, but they were shunted. And I felt very strongly that that should not have been the case at all, but again, it speaks to the arrogance of some of our government officials. That's what it boils down to. And they use people when they want to and refuse them when they want to. This is what's happening. Because as you quite rightly said, they always run to diaspora to get funds for election campaign. What does the diaspora get in return? The diaspora, by extension, sends billions of dollars to us by way of remittances every year. So they have some amount of say in how things are run in their country. It happens in other jurisdictions in the world, in Israel, in many countries where you have diasporas and so on. But the people are still part of the nation in real terms. Many of whom may even have dual passports. So I find it very strange that there's this love-hate relationship with the diaspora at the moment. Because that's what I call it, a love-hate relationship.
Yes.
In one breath, you know, they hook them up to get things out of them, and the next we say, you stay where you are. You have no locus in core. You're not supposed to be dabbling our affairs, etc., etc. And I think now that we are looking at the whole business of constitutional reform.
I'm glad you touched on that. Go ahead.
Right? This is the role of the diaspora, and I would hope, I don't know if anybody listening to us now is part of the diaspora, but the diaspora.
Oh, yes, the program is on Jam Talk Vibes Radio in the United States. It's also on YouTube, so people are listening from the diaspora, listen to us. Okay.
And I should hope that there will be strong representation coming from the diaspora about the role of persons in the diaspora in a newly constituted Jamaica. For example, the old question of voting. I think there was one particular, I can't remember if it was Bruce Golding, I can't remember now, but I know at some point there was a proposal on the table that the Senate, for example, the Jamaican Senate should accommodate at least one or two persons from the diaspora. There was some strong objection to that. I personally would not have had a problem with it, because I do believe that we need to not only join them in our legislative agendas, but I would have loved to see the extent to which we can begin to encourage members of diaspora to come back and set up businesses and to assist social organizations, that sort of thing, because that is not being done sufficiently. Right now, I know that there's a lot of headaches just to bring in, you know, charitable goods for organizations. The red tape and mumbo jumbo that they have to go through just to do that, you know, and all those things. So I really think that the diaspora, I don't know where it's at now, because they usually have this annual meeting, which to me turns out to be more of a cocktail party affair.
It is a cocktail party affair.
It needs to go beyond that, you know.
And let me say something, Sir Smith. I personally think that the members of the diaspora now, if they can't get a seat in the reforming of our constitution, they can send the committee. And if a Jamaican citizen who lives in the diaspora can put a lawsuit against a public official in Jamaica, then I believe, this is my personal view, that the members of the diaspora should tell the parliamentarians in Jamaica when they come up that we will not accommodate you. We will not give you 1 red cent. And if you cannot sign the code of ethics, we will not support you. The time has come, Mr. Smith, where Jamaicans must stand up and call a spade a spade. When we were born, we wasn't born a member of the Labour Party or the People's National Party. We were born Jamaicans. We came to this country by labor pain, not by aeroplane, nor party pain. And the piece of rock that we live in, that we're from, is bleeding from within.
Yes. I absolutely agree with you. And I you know, I really hope that the members of the diaspora begin to understand that they do have a lot of power, you know, and they do have a lot of influence, you know, and they should use it in a more productive and positive way. And what you just said is one of the ways in which they could hold our parliamentarians to the book and say, look, you have to deal with these things. If not, we're not going to give you. When we give you our money for you to go back and campaign, and then after the campaign, what happens to the country, right? No, we're going to have to hold you to the book in terms of accountability. And I support that wholeheartedly. What you just said, look, the fact of the matter is that statistically we have been informed that for every single Jamaican in Jamaica, there is a Jamaican somewhere else in the world. So if we have 2 million people in Jamaica, there's another 2 million Jamaicans out there in the diaspora, right?
True.
That is a lot of power. It is economic power. It is whatever power else you want to call it, but that is there. And this is why I'm disappointed in the way in which the diaspora has been operating, where it becomes some kind of little appendage to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And every year they have this so-called, I don't know if it's every 2 years or what, this so-called conference where people come and chat and have cocktails and foolishness, waste of time. You know, we have to go beyond that, right? The diaspora has a lot of power, right? They can use it effectively in the better interest of the Jamaican people, and it's time they begin to do that, I think.
Yes. But we don't have enough time here, live on Roots 96.1 FM. I would love to have you back on my YouTube channel one of these days. I send you my number in the your private chat there on Zoom.
Okay.
But before you go, Mr. Smith, do you think that members of the diaspora should sit in the Jamaican Parliament? And do you think right now, we're talking about constitutional reform, do you think that the constitution should be that we have an elected president of the people, for the people, and by the people, not a ceremonial president where we pay $442 million a year? And do you think that we should have the senators be elected, not appointed? Your views on that, Mr. Smith? Oh Lord, do we lose Mr. Smith? Are you there, sir? It is frozen. I hope it is that we have lost Mr. Libby Smith. An important point where we're gonna ask him pertaining to the Constitution. They decide to freeze up on us. We're very listening from around the world. We're talking to Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives in Jamaica, Mr. Smith, Libby Smith. He's also the owner of the Western Mirror in Montego Bay. We have lost contact with Mr. Smith. I don't know what happened. You know, I see let us switch something here. I see there's a demonstration going on down by Emancipation Park. Justice for Donnelly Donaldson. I don't know what is going on, but there's a live demonstration going on down there. For the time being, until we get back Mr. Smith, maybe we should switch to that to see what is going on. This is the Make We Talk program. We make sure that we can get coverage.
To be able to have some amount of privacy as a human, we need that. This is a part of our human right, but it is also a necessity. But it's not talking about a balance. But the thing is, cameras are not going to change our mindset, our personalities. Camera can't change that. The suppression of people don't create different people. Suppression don't create different people. No, what it creates is animosity, and it creates turmoil and will.
That's a live feed coming into us from Emancipation Park, where Jamaicans are taken to the streets and calling for justice for Donnelly Donaldson and the little 8-year-old girl and other Jamaicans who has, either gunned down or brutally slain for some unknown reason. We were speaking to former Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives in Jamaica, Mr. Lloyd B. Smith. We have lost the feed to him when we're going to ask him the most important question about members of the diaspora sitting in the Senate or in the Parliament of Jamaica. Every day we get up and we talk about the problems that we face in our country. And quite frankly, sometimes I feel like not to come on here and talk about anything. But we have to. And we have to have the solution to the fundamental problems that we face in our country. We definitely have to. Because we're faced with problems left, right, and center. And sometimes when we feel like not to come on here and speak, we need to, because you know why? Mainstream media in Jamaica not carrying the things that we are carrying. On our YouTube channels and our Facebook page and our kind of Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. Those are the things that one of these days they're going to maybe try and stop us from not coming on here. But you know, until they think they have the power to stop us, let us continue speaking out. Because one day, as my good friend Jerry Small said, that the dam must burst. The water dam must burst. And we're not going to sit down in a country like ours and allow the slaying of our children to continue. I have two beautiful godchildren. Goddaughters, I should say. I have nieces and nephews. I have cousins. And yesterday I had a program on my YouTube channel about that little girl that her throat was slit. And I keep on asking, what kind of heart do we have? Are we becoming a heartless society, a heartless nation? That's what we're becoming. Where we don't have any heart for our fellow Jamaicans anymore. And that is what we have become in our country. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have any CARICOM summit, security summit for our sister island of Haiti. But what the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Bruce Golding, and I hope Owen Brown and Dudley Thompson play his speech. It is on my YouTube channel, live from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, downtown Kingston. Both his speech, the Prime Minister's speech, the Prime Minister of Barbados, who is now the chairman of CARICOM, and the Prime Minister of Haiti. They're on my YouTube channel. And I hope that the two speeches being played. Because in those two speeches given by the Prime Minister and the former Prime Minister of this country of ours, they said nothing about the security in this country. And the lack of protecting our children and our people. When a country, when a government cannot secure its own people, something is wrong somewhere. I wonder if Mr. Simmons is trying to come back on. Anyway, something is wrong somewhere when we can't secure our own people. I promised my viewers on my YouTube channel that I will try my endeavor best to get back Mr. Lloyd B. Smith to come on to speak some more on his views on the Constitution of Jamaica. And will they put in the Constitution that Jamaicans can stay from outside of Jamaica and vote? And would they put in the Constitution that a Jamaican citizen who lives outside of Jamaica can also sit in the Senate? And would they put in the Constitution term limits? Because we need to have term limits in this country. And would they put in the Constitution where we need a president of the people, for the people, not a ceremonial president. We got open places and cut ribbon and yam. And the taxpayers of this country pay $424 million a year to keep King's House going. $1 million a day, if my calculation is correct. While the Kingston Public Hospital need beds, cockroaching up and down inside there. We must ask ourselves the question, Jamaicans. What are we voting for? Are we voting for party or are we voting for a nation? Huh? What are we voting for in this country? Are we voting for a nation or are we voting for the two political parties in Jamaica? You have a political party by the name of the UIC. This is my personal views, not the views of Rose on the 6.1 FM. So if Joseph Patterson want to come off, anybody can come off of me. When you have a political party that cannot give the name of its candidates, something not right somewhere. Some bang around going on somewhere. So when you have people opening and forming parties, we must ask them the question, where is the funding coming from? That's the most important point. Where's the funding coming from? And can you give the source of funds? Just like how the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade and the Andrew Holness administration refused to give the source of funds. We didn't tell the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to go and run for Secretary General of the Commonwealth, costing this country over 440 something million Jamaican dollars. But that could help to buy a bed at the KPH and help to build Bustamante Hospital. Huh? We didn't tell her to do that, but she went and did it. And now when we're asking questions, the same government who run to the diaspora for help to run their political campaign is telling the members of the diaspora that they don't have no legal standing in Jamaica to put a lawsuit against any parliamentarian. This is the country that we're in. A nation that cannot secure its people. A prime minister who refused to tell how much he worth. If he worth $1 or he worth 40 million. A government who refused to sign the code of ethics. That's the name of it. I don't remember the name properly. This is the nation we're living in. These are the people that we're voting for. And what the Minister of Foreign Affairs and along with the Labour Party is trying to do is trying to tell the people of Jamaica, say, hey, I'm going to put no lawsuit against a government official because I'm not going nowhere. But let me make something clear too now. It is your fundamental right in your country to speak out. We have freedom of speech. And if you're a public official, any Jamaican citizen in Jamaica can put a lawsuit against the government. Any one of us. And I've been saying it for years. Way before Wilfred Radican did it. Way before Wayne Lonesome did it. I have been saying it for many years. We have the fundamental right to do it. So when you think, or when we believe that we can do, we can do it. And when you have a party who is trying to tell the people something different, we must wake up in this country of ours. We must wake up. We're going to come off here now, but we're going to try and get Mr. Smith to come on one of these days to give us some more insight of what he thinks about the Constitution and also the reparation of how much $1 trillion. And I'm saying that the government of Jamaica should never get 1 red cent of the $1 trillion we're supposed to get. Because they put this country in $2 trillion debt. And in that $2 trillion debt, what have we gained from it? Have we gained in the new hospital, in the new school? Have we gained in the factories? But yet this country is in $2 trillion of debt. We need justice for Donnelly Donaldson. We need justice for that 80-year-old. And we need justice for the farm workers in Canada. And we need some more money on the PART program. The local chip and everything giving the people can't do nothing. Getting a dirty girl. It is now 11:59. If I'm saying it correctly, maybe it's just some minutes to that time in Jamaica. But until you hear my voice again, may God bless you and may God bless Jamaica, land we love. I am Jeffrey Tavares, returning to the studios of Roots 96.1 FM. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Make We Talk Jeffrey Tavares YouTube channel and also to the Roots 96.1 FM YouTube channel. On behalf of my producer, Owen Brown and Dudley Thompson, have a good evening, everyone. May God bless you.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk.